It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports news from the district and beyond. Today, we welcome one of the elites in the basketball world. A six-time NBA All-Star and the 2003 Rookie of the Year, he spent 14 seasons in the league, playing for the Phoenix Suns, New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, and the Miami Heat. He's currently in the Big Three as co-captain of the Tri-State squad. And he's one of the fiercest dunkers the game has ever seen.
Lines up in the lap of Richardson. Up ahead, look out. Hello! Amari Stoudemire elevates and detonates. Gets around, finds Stoudemire. And he throws it down. Ball loose. Picked up inside and tomahawk by Amari Stoudemire.
We are talking about Amari Stoudemire. He joins this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN right now with your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Woo! It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right, everyone. Hello. Good morning. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we usually do our night shows, but today we're doing this morning because my guest today is actually joining us all the way from Israel. So we had to account for the time change. I really appreciate his time, as I know you all were supposed to get him Wednesday. We rescheduled him to today because he had a basketball game yesterday that we'll hear all about. So without further ado, I'm about to welcome in a man who, in layman terms, can play the game of basketball and play it very, very well. He is none other than Amari Stoudemire. I know the name rings bells for many of you basketball fans. Six-time NBA All-Star, five-time All-NBA. He's a two-time Israeli League All-Star, a 2016 Israeli Cup winner, and 2017 Israeli League champion. So excited to have him here today, and a special thanks to him and his team for making time and making use. All right, I will bring him onto the show. Amari, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Can you hear me, Amari?
I can hear you.
Good. I'm so happy you're joining me. First off, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling great. I can't complain.
Good. All right. Well, I first have to ask you, happy belated Father's Day. Did you do anything special for today?
Well, you know what? My son gave me a Father's Day card, and I hung out with him all day. So that's always great for me. And then my children back in Miami also sent Father's Day cards to me here in Israel. So it was a great day for me.
Nice. They love their dad. We are not mad at that. I love seeing that love. And I know you also did a special Father's Day tribute to your father, which I thought was really special. Do you want to dive in on that and talk about what your father meant to you?
Yeah, you know, my dad played a very, very important role in my life. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 12 years old. But the time that I spent with him before that point was pretty remarkable. So he was a very, very positive role model for me. And he paved me, on my way to become who I am today.
Yeah, and we know obviously who you are. You have a lot of fans watching. We appreciate what you've been doing. And oh my gosh, you've continued to just defy everything, Amari, and continue to play basketball at the highest level. So I continue to applaud you for the work that you do. And I just want to get into it. So there's a lot happening in the world, obviously, especially here in the United States. We have a lot of protests happening, Amari. We have people kind of frustrated with the status quo and what's been going on, and people just fed up. So we have people talking about racial injustice. Enough is enough. We see protests happening. We see statues coming down. We see Confederate flag removal. So I just want to ask you how it's impacted you first in Israel with regards to the Black Lives Matter movement, and how has it been raised in Israel? Because I see this has become really a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah, it is. It's a worldwide deal, and it affects us as the American players. We here playing basketball in Israel, but we also see what's happening in America, and so it does affect us. But we try to stay focused. Obviously, right now it's an important time in history for us. We have been oppressed for a long time and haven't really got the proper due that is needed for us. And so now, the generation is like they're fed up, and I think it's time to continue to push the envelope and create change.
Yeah, you talk about pushing the envelope and creating change. You talked about how important this moment is in history. Just curious, to your little ones, how are you going to explain it to them and the importance and the significance of this time?
Well, the idea for me is to always teach my kids that the main objective is to find righteousness. When you find righteousness according to God's plan, you're able to somewhat create your own energy. The energy that you create from like that God presents to you is always going to be able to protect you. And so that's the main objective. And then secondly is to be able to also, affect your friends around you in a positive way, be positive with them. And so I think that each one teach one kind of philosophy is going to be helpful for them.
Yeah, each one teach one. I love it. They're in good hands with you. And of course, just going off of that, you just recently played a game. So again, I appreciate you joining me. So I would love if you could touch on the performance overall. You guys had a nice little hefty win there. But talk about the game and talk about the positives that you took from it.
We back at it. We had a little 2-month, 3-month hiatus with this COVID-19 situation. A lot of guys try to stay in shape throughout the time, and I think now we're back playing. Last night was our second game so far being back. We had a good win. We won by a nice margin.
Yeah, go ahead and brag on it.
A lot of the guys played great. We had a great all-around win. Everyone stepped in and played their part. It was fun last night.
Yeah, so you talked about coming back after COVID-19. It obviously hit all of us. What was that process like for you, trying to keep in shape, you and your teammates? And then now it's for game time to be here.
Yeah, you know what? It was tough. It was tough because we were locked down. In Israel, the Minister of Health provided this strategy for us to kind of somewhat stay in quarantine for, I think, it was about a month or so. So everyone applied to the rules, and we stayed in quarantine during that time. And then so the country began to prosper again. And so once that happened, then we were able to now start back training and playing. But it was tough for us because we had to train only at home, and we had to figure out ways to stay in shape, by staying inside. So it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I'm sure. But look, you obviously did it. And by that win, I think you guys are in good hands. I'm sure one person that's really happy is your head coach. I would love if you could just talk overall about his overall rapport with the players and practice in particular, and kind of getting you guys back amped up for this new basketball season.
Yeah, our coach is from Greece.
Yes.
He's from Greece, Giannis, and he's a very good motivator. He motivates us very well. It keeps us kind of in tune and keep us ready to go. And his formula so far has been helpful. He's allowing guys to play their game, and everyone somewhat is enjoying playing for him. So for me, it's been great. It's my 18th season playing professional basketball, and I'm still having fun.
I'm going to have to ask you, since you just went off of that, Mari, how much more are we going to see you playing basketball?
I don't know. I think I'm wrapping up soon.
Oh, no.
I'm missing my family. I've been away playing overseas for 4 years now. And so it takes, 6-7 months per year to play. Yeah. And I'm missing my children. So it's been tough the last 4 years to play overseas for me.
Understand completely. Well, look, we appreciate the gyms and everything that you're giving us while you're playing. And continuing on basketball, you have an upcoming game this Monday against a team that you know pretty well. It's a much anticipated Israeli Premier League showdown. So can you discuss how you guys are preparing to head into this encounter?
Yeah, we're playing against a really good team. We're playing against Jerusalem. The team has been very productive over the past few years, and so they have a great program, great leadership there on that team. And I think for us, it's going to be an important win. We just got to make sure we come ready to go.
Yeah, and of course, ready to go. I'm sure you guys will be again. You guys are in good hands. And I want to go back to the beginning. I want to talk with you about what are some of the biggest factors when you joined your current basketball team back in January of this year, and how did supporters react to you signing initially after you came from your former team in Jerusalem?
Well, they actually was very helpful. They cheered me on. They gave me confidence and advice. And so it wasn't easy because I wanted to, obviously playing for Jerusalem is like the ultimate destination for me because of my religious beliefs. But playing in Tel Aviv is also fun. The beach, you have a nice vibe and nice, scenery here. So I was able to still continue my game here in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, and you talk about the nice scenery there and getting used to Israel. I'm curious because I know another thing we're talking about, going on is the Premier League. Soccer's coming back, right, over there. Have you had a chance to experience any other sporting events while you've lived out there and supported the local teams?
I haven't. I think a lot of times with us as players too, we're still under restraints. We can't go too far. We can't go 100 meters from our apartment. We can't go into public places. We have to wear a mask at all times. So we can't really do too much. And now we're playing with no fans. So it's been an adjustment period.
Yeah.
It's been an adjustment period. It's tough playing with no fans. The motivation's not quite the same. But we still try to find a way to stay motivated throughout the game.
Are you guys doing anything fun? Any crowd noise? Are you guys having cutout fans, or is it just nothing when you guys?
Yeah, no, we got a nice surround system. They got the situation where it's set up on around the court where it seems like fans are there. They're playing music throughout the game at times.
Yeah.
And so it's still a nice vibe.
Nice. I love it. And going back to your team, Denny, who has officially declared for the 2020 NBA draft, just from your perspective as a teammate and as a player who's obviously played the game at the highest level, any advice you have for him as he tries to prepare for this next level?
Yeah, I think Danny's on the right track. He works hard. He tries to keep himself focused on the game of basketball. He's always like in the gym working. And he got a good advantage because he get a chance to watch guys who play in the pros train and play. So myself, Quincy Acy, Army Caspery, we all play in the NBA, and so he got to learn from us, which is good for him.
Nice. I love it. And then just staying on Israel, I'm just curious to see, have you had an opportunity to meet the Prime Minister yet at all? And if so, have you had a chance to talk with him about anything that you'd like to see in the country?
I haven't met with them. I'm not a big politician guy, so I try to keep my distance from like a lot of the politics, but I'm sure those guys are going to figure out the best scenarios, the best situations for the country.
Yeah, I love it. And then staying with that, with regards to officially becoming an Israeli citizen, can you talk about your Jewish culture and faith, as well as kind of the Israeli way of life and how you've become connected with it and intertwined?
Yeah, I've been growing up studying my whole life. My mother, when I was 13 or so, she mentioned that we were Israelites and that we should keep the laws of Moses. And so from that point on, I just grew up learning, Torah and the Bible, trying to figure out exactly what she meant by that. And throughout my years of learning, that path brought me to Israel. And I came to Israel and I wanted to learn also. And I learned more about Judaism. I got involved in learning Judaism and that culture as well. And so I was able to somewhat, gain citizenship here in Israel. So being an American Israeli was important for me. And now also learning Torah and more the gems of Torah and the Bible has been very helpful for me.
Yeah, I appreciate you touching on that, because then I want to go back to your former team with regards to winning those titles with Jerusalem. How much did winning those titles mean for your legacy and the redefining of Amar'e Stoudemire, the basketball player?
It's funny because when I first started playing basketball, I never thought I'd be playing in Israel. I had any idea that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so, when I came to Israel and started playing here, I felt a certain love for the country, and I started to just. We won championships, became an all-star. My basketball legacy, my basketball journey continued to grow.
Yeah.
And so while I'm having fun, I'm just continuing to let that process happen.
Yeah, and we're enjoying the process. Amar'e, I hope you don't mind. This is a live show. You have fan comments, and we want to get this one in from a loyal listener, from Damian Adams. When you look back at your career so far, Amar'e, what is your favorite moment?
And my favorite moment is probably getting drafted to Phoenix. Playing in Phoenix with Nash and the boys, with Sean and Mary and those guys, it was a lot of fun for me. That was a very special moment. Playing in New York, my first year in New York was something incredible because I wasn't expecting so much love that I received from New York, the state, and the city. So those two moments were amazing, despite Olympics and All-Star games and those experiences. Yeah. Also great,
Yeah, if you could go back and do it over, would you change anything?
If I go back and do it over, I don't think so. I don't think I'd change anything. I don't think so.
That's a good answer. And just staying on the current NBA, obviously the landscape has changed. You came out of high school. We see now the emergence really of the G League really being a viable source. Do you, from your perspective playing in the NBA, do you think the G League is kind of a good step for players that might not want to go to college, know they're going to be one and done, but still get to that next level in the NBA?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I truly feel that if a player is willing to experience the world culture and to be able to travel and play overseas after they finish high school, play in the pros, get a chance to make significant money, and then play against other pros and get that year of experience in. That's not a bad idea either. But the G League is like an easier way to step into the NBA because you're there. NBA scouts are watching you every game, so it's maybe a little easier process from that matter.
Yeah, and you talk about kind of just that culture that you get from traveling the world and playing overseas. So tell me some of the key lessons that you learned from playing overseas as opposed to playing in the NBA.
Well, for me, I just enjoy like the beautiful cultures around the world, especially in Europe and also like in Europe and obviously in the Middle East. I played in China. Learning the Chinese culture was fun for me, just having that experience and having that understanding within me. Then also in Europe, going to Athens, going to Spain, going to Russia, going to these countries that I probably would have never experienced or wanted to go to. But the game of basketball allowed me to really experience the world.
That's a beautiful thing. I always say, if you can, get culturized, travel. You need to experience different things. This gives you a better perspective. And Amari, we're getting a lot of questions. People want to know where they can watch the game. So for those that haven't had a chance to see you play, describe just the makeup and the identity of your current team.
Well, right now I play for Maccabi Tel Aviv. We are a EuroLeague team. So we play, obviously, with the EuroLeague is like the second best league behind the NBA. And so we play against some very, very high competitive players. And also play in Israel. So we played two leagues simultaneously. And right now, I have 3 former NBA players on my team, with myself being one of them, Quincy Acey, Omri Caspery. We got a lot of collegiate players who played over in America in college, who had great careers in college, who now play with us. So we have a pretty legit team.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Again, you guys have to watch it. You can see the games live. Just social media, they're everywhere, and you can see just the amazing things Amari continues to do. And I want to stay on the NBA. Of course, Amari, this year kind of went. The world stopped when we heard about the passing of Kobe Bryant. And of course, since then, it seems like 2020 has just been a year that continued to just hit us with hard punches. So I'd love if you could just kind of talk on your relationship with Kobe and just the legacy that he leaves for basketball and beyond.
Kobe was it's tough to use this in the past tense type of conversation, but Kobe as a player was a generational guy. He actually, from a guy that came out of high school, I'm sure he learned a lot from his father. His father was a pro player.
Yeah.
But the way he carried himself, the way he approached the game of basketball was like beyond his age. He was very, very mature for his age when it comes to that. He understood what it takes to win, and he was willing to learn it. He wasn't intimidated to ask other greats about, the tools it took, Right. So from that standpoint, it was awesome. Off the court wise, he was a guy who spoke multiple languages, very cultured. His father played over in Italy for a while, so we learned a lot of culture there, and then brought that culture to Philadelphia, and he came back around the brothers and the sisters, and he got that vibe.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting drafted. So, that's when it all somewhat came out.
Yeah, and I appreciate you touching on that. I know it's tough. I think it's still tough for so many of us to talk about, but it just talks about the legacy that he left. And that just makes me wonder with you, can you talk about some of your inspirations and guys that you look up to when you were trying to get to the NBA and to the next level? Who were some of the people that you wanted to be like, Amari?
Man, my favorite player at the time was Michael Jordan, obviously. I mean, that's like every favorite player at that moment. Penny Hardaway and Shaq. With me growing up in Orlando, Florida, I was always watching those guys. But off the court, I mean, Tupac was always one of my favorite guys to watch and learn from. I learned a lot from like MLK, Martin Luther King. I used to watch a lot of his lessons. I learned from Malcolm X. I learned from a lot of leaders, like revolutionary leaders that I watched growing up, that helped somewhat keep me focused and kept me on the path of like trying to find righteousness, And so my mother and father played a very, very intricate role in that as well.
Nice. Again, I appreciate your inspirations. And since you touched on MJ, I have to ask you, Amari, your thoughts on the Last Dance documentary overall. What do you think about it?
That was incredible. I was glued to the TV. Hey, listen, I don't watch TV much, but I was locked in. And, it was great. It was great to see the backstories of the players, the backstories of Scottie, the backstories of Michael, the backstories of Rodman, and then to see how it all played out that last year. Because we were always wondering, like, why didn't the Bulls keep going?
Right.
That was a question I had. Like, a lot of people want to know, why did Mike retire the first time? And
Yeah.
so and Last Dance cover all those questions I had.
Yeah, it was good to watch. I was going to ask you what moment stood out the most, but it's like we all took something. I mean, we all learned something from that documentary, and it kind of helped to solve those mystery pieces. But man, just think if they could have continued on, would have been much
Right.
more fun basketball, right?
What stood out to me the most was the fact that Michael Jordan was actually a really good baseball player. A lot of people did kind of cover the fact that he had like a no hitting streak for a little bit.
Mhm.
They forgot to realize that Mike also had a major hitting streak. And what intrigued me the most is that one of the GMs was saying that if Mike would have kept playing, he could have been a Major League Baseball player.
Look at that.
I didn't know that, and that was incredible to learn.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just talks about his athleticism. It seemed like there was nothing that Mike couldn't do. And just staying on the NBA, I'm going to go back to Damian. He has another great question for you. Obviously, a big fan. Is there anyone in the league today that reminds you of yourself as a player?
Oh, right
Good
now.
one.
Good question.
Yeah, let's do right now.
Good question. I don't see anyone right now. I mean, the closest guy was Blake Griffin, but he was a lot heavier than I was. I was a lot more agile, a lot more, quicker from like a movement standpoint. But explosiveness wise, he's definitely probably more explosive than I was. I was just a lot more quicker and agile.
Yeah, it's a good answer. It's a good comparison too. And also, while we're talking about NBA players, of course, here we're trying to get ready, Omari, for an NBA season. We're looking at going to Orlando July 31st. But there's a lot going on. We keep hearing these cases. I see your face. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions. If you were back here and you had the opportunity to go down and play, if your team was in the playoffs, do you think you would make the decision to go down?
Me, knowing who I am and how I love the game of basketball, I probably would play. But the fact of the matter is that there's situation happening right now in America that requires a lot of the owners that own these teams have benefited from the backs of slaves, and so I think it's important for them to start to speak up and actually help provide change, whether it's learning centers, whether it's because there's so many foundations that we give back, the owners give back, but it doesn't seem to go to the communities. And the majority in the NBA is 85 to 90% African American players. So I would want to see the owners take more of an initiative to give back to the community, not just to a regular charity, because we're not sure where those funds are going, but I want to see those funds go actually to the community, build learning centers, build, whole food restaurants or what have you to uplift the community.
Yeah, that community aspect is so strong. And I actually want to talk about your community work. But before I go there, you made me think of this next question. If I was Adam Silver and you had a chance to speak to me and just give advise me on kind of how to proceed, what would you say?
I would tell Adam Silver is to truly build an initiative that goes to the community and that goes actually inside the community, not just making it seem like a political wording that sounds great, but actually figure out something that does the economic building of these communities. And I think if Adam Silver can conquer that, then the guys will be very appreciative. The world will see his actions, and they would follow suit, and it'll be a great situation for everyone.
Yeah, and that's all we want. We love basketball, right? We love basketball. We want everyone to play, want everyone to be healthy, but we do want to see some change. And Omari, something that's come up is the conversation about getting more minority owners of color in the NBA, getting more head coaches of color in the NBA. Do you think those are just two things to kind of help solve the problems that we're currently seeing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always kind of a systematic situation that takes place with a lot of companies where the hiring process, because they're privately owned, they can control their own hiring process, and a lot of guys don't get the jobs that they deserve, or they have a shorter leash. They have a shorter leash than the other guys. But I do think that diversity is very key in most companies, and if we continue to show how professional we are and how positive we are as a people, then these opportunities will come, and then we'll take advantage of them.
Yes, I like that. Exactly. That's what it's all about. We just want opportunity so people can live their dreams and do, so many great things and get into the ownership side. Omari, before you, I had Ben Wallace on, and he talked about going from a player to now a minority owner of the Grand Rapids Drive, and just how much he learned and how he hopes he's showing the world what it means to be a man of color in ownership within the NBA. So I appreciate you touching on that. And I want to talk about some of the nice things that you're doing outside of basketball. We talked about the importance of the community that you're doing. So I want to first talk with you about in regards to your Amar'e Stoudemire Basketball Peace Camp in Israel. Talk about the long-term goal and objective for the camp, especially as it pertains to Israeli youth.
Well, the Peace Camp was basically a camp that provides peace and unity for all the cultures here in Israel, with the Palestinians, with the Israelites, with the Jewish people. We're really trying to connect all those cultures, and basketball is a way that we can do that. Basketball is a fun sport where everyone enjoys playing, and the Peace Camp provides that type of fun atmosphere for all the cultures to have fun.
Nice. And when did you start that?
I started that in 2015, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was a good success. A lot of people enjoyed it, but because when I started playing, I wasn't able to continue the camps because within the contract, the teams that we play for have their own camps, and so once I retire or once I'm done playing, then I'll be able to get that back going.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so great to hear. And then just staying with that, as it relates to philanthropy in Israel, what are some of the current initiatives which you are currently embarking on, as well as some of the Israeli charity projects which you have assisted with previously?
Well, right now, my I guess it's really based. The headquarters is out of Jerusalem, but Stat Academy. It's like an online course that teaches about the diaspora, about where a lot of the Jews and a lot of Jews of color also migrated to. And so it covers like the entire biblical assumption of the diaspora, lost tribes of Israel. And so that is something that I've been working on for a while. And the headquarters is based out of Jerusalem, but most of my initiatives and companies are based out of America.
Nice. That's so awesome. Again, just doing so much on the community level. And now we're going to switch it up a bit, Amar'e. We're going to have fun. It's morning here, so I feel like I shouldn't be talking about wine, but this is one of your passions and one of your projects. So let's talk about Stoudemire Wines. What are the overall ambitions and goals for Stoudemire Cellars wine brand, particularly in terms of growth?
You know what? Stoudemire Wines is something that's been taking off, actually. It's been very, very lucrative, especially around the holiday season. Everyone wants to, purchase those bottles of wines, and for celebratory reasons. So now we're still growing. We still are producing these grapes and harvesting these grapes, and then bottling up the wine and shipping them out. So we're making progress.
So why wine? Why was this a big business venture for you that you wanted to get into?
Well, for me, when I was in the NBA, I traveled every summer. I traveled around the world, and I would go and I would do these wine tasting events. I would travel with a chef, and we'll go in to different restaurants and do these wine pairings, and we go to different chateaus and and stay in the chateaus, and so the wine became something that was important for me. And then a buddy of mine in New York had a connection here in Israel with the winery, and he wanted me to create my own wines, and so that's how it all started.
Yeah. Wow, I love it. Now, like you said, it's just take it off. So for those of us that might not be as versed to it or maybe thinking about it because we've had a long week, I mean, what are some of the wine types? Like, give us some more details. So
Stoudemire Wines, there's 3 bottles to the collection. There's a private collection. And so that's like a 4-bottle mix. I think it's a Cabernet, Merlot, Petit Verdot mixed. So it's like a blend. We have the we have the Grand Reserve, which is 100% cab. And so what I did was I was able to create. I did a lot of tasting, and I had to pair the different wines, which one tastes the best, and so it turned out great. Great reviews.
Nice. And any other business ventures that you're thinking about going into? And let's talk about maybe life after basketball, since you've got so much going on right now.
Yeah, life after basketball. I mean, I got I'm waiting to get the word back from the acceptance to business school in Miami.
Oh, so, nice! Congratulations.
So that's the next step for me. It's like a 1.5 year process for me there, and then from there, I'm thinking about maybe even becoming a sports agent.
Nice.
So that may be the follow up from this basketball career.
That's exciting. And so when all is said and done and you hang it all up, I mean, what will be the cherry on top for your basketball career? Like, what's that one thing that you couldn't have done it without? That one thing that I know you talked about what you're most proud of, but like, what's that one thing, Amari, that you want people to remember when all is said and done about you when it comes to your basketball?
When it's all said and done, I would like people to say that Amar'e Stoudemire is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That would be the icing on the cake.
I agree. It's going to be a good one. And you talk about a Hall of Famer, something that just happened here. Vince Carter hung it all up after 22 seasons. So I'd love if you could just talk about just his career and what it meant for the NBA, because now we see we're not going to get any more Vince.
No, Vince is a Florida boy. And we grew up around the same, well, he was before my time actually, but just maybe a few years. We played against my cousin and my brothers when I was growing up. And there was always a legacy about Vince and that he could take a cord off the top of the backboard. And so as a young high school player at the time, I'm like, man, that's incredible for a guy to do it. But to see Vince in his career start out playing with Tracy McGrady, another Florida boy who played in Toronto, and then to continue to push the envelope and continue to improve as a player and play for so long, he changed the game, half man, half amazing. And to see his career ending the way it did was remarkable, and big respect to Vince for an amazing career.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. Salute to Vince. And before I let you go, we're going to have a little fun with this, Amari. What's in your playlist? If I got to go in your phone and listen to the music you listen to, what's in your playlist? I hope I'm not embarrassing you.
No, you're good. My playlist right now, today I was playing, the last song I was playing was I was playing Nipsey Hussle today. Nice. Yesterday I was playing Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
And
I like the range that we're doing here.
It all depends on my vibe. It all depends on my vibe on like where I'm at with it. And then before that I played like but my favorite artist right now is like J. Cole, Kendrick, Nipsey, Nip. Those are my guys at the moment.
Nice, I like it. And any Israeli musical influences in that playlist yet, or you're still getting used to music?
Yeah, I got a few guys in Israel. I listened to a guy named L'chaim OG. He has an album he just released. I listened to another Israeli artist, Elad. Elad music is all Hebrew. It's like Kol Ivrit, all Hebrew. But L'chaim OG in English and Hebrew, so it's a nice vibe.
Nice. I love it. I figured you had a good playlist. And what about style-wise? Are the malls up to par for your sense of style, Amari, over there?
You know what? I've been taking it easy.
You're still able to get the clothes you need and what?
Yeah, I get a few pieces I need, but I've been really just kind of keeping it consistent. But most of the style is like in Europe. So when I travel Europe, I pick up some great pieces. And so in Israel, they have some cool stuff, but I get a lot of my stuff from Europe, a lot of my gear.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining again. I appreciate your flexibility, because I know before when we were supposed to do this, you were going to do it at 1 a.m. or whatever time it was. There was like, no, that's crazy. I knew you had a game. So I appreciate your flexibility for joining the show. And before I let you go, just any last words for the listening and viewing audience?
No, just follow me on Instagram, Amari Israel. Follow me on Twitter. Stay locked in to what's happening. A lot of new things coming your way.
Yeah, well, best wishes on the basketball season. We will continue to watch you, and hopefully you won't be a stranger to the show.
I got you. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this special live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio. You guys heard it here first. Amar'e Stoudemire was amazing. We hope to have him back on the show. He has an upcoming game on Monday that you all should all watch and see. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Fox Sports Radio's very own and FS1's Rob Parker joins me live. We'll talk the latest and greatest in sports. You won't want to miss it. As always, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Follow Kelsey on social media at @TheRealKNelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube On air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.